Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome back to another video. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and follow me on my Instagram right here, my personal one I'll leave right there, and then my sneaker Instagram as well right there. If you guys do those 3 steps, that is basically how you guys get entered. Just subscribe to me on the channel here, and then follow me on Instagram with both my accounts, and then comment done, and then comment your Instagram username down below, and then that is how you get entered. Anyway, let's get right into today's video. So, today's video, guys, I'll be talking about my experience working at Footlocker. Now, how to get hired there. Basically, how I got hired was I just kept going in there, making friends with a lot of the workers, and they would become familiar with my face whenever I walked in there. So I did that for about a month. And yeah, I mean, I would always go in there, but then when I decided, I was like, well, I really kind of want to work there, I was like, then I should go in maybe 2-3 times a week instead of maybe just like 1 time a week. So I did that for about a month, and I asked how to apply or how to work there to my assistant manager, which I talked to him probably the most. He was really cool. I liked working with him a lot for sure. So I had his number and everything, and we would talk sometimes. And yeah, so I just asked him, how do I get hired here? And then he told me to apply online. Now, the online applying takes about 2 hours, and it's very hard because it is tests that is timed and stuff like that, and you have to get above like in 75 or 80%, I believe, to get hired. And it was just very hard, like math questions and stuff like that, and it was timed, like you don't have like 10 seconds to answer each one, so it was kind of difficult and overwhelming, but wasn't too terrible, but it just definitely took some time for sure. So after I did that, I waited about a week and called in, which you guys have to call in a couple times, or even go in, which maybe would look probably better if you go in to keep checking up on it. So that's what I did, and then about a week later I did get a text from actually the assistant manager saying that the manager wants to bring you in for an interview, and that he already talked to her, and because they know that I knew my stuff basically when it came to shoes. So for my interview, guys, it was just like, what size shirt are you, and just explaining everything. So it wasn't really like an interview. It was like I pretty much already had the job, which was pretty cool because they already knew that I knew a lot of stuff and that I was buddies and friends with a lot of the workers there. So that's basically how to get hired there, just become friends and everything with people there. And yeah, so that's how I ended up getting hired. So now let's go into the details of the job basically. So it just depends if you're working on a weekday or a weekend. Obviously weekends are much more busy, so there's more workers, but weekdays are pretty cool and pretty chill. Usually there's not that many customers, so it's a lot less stressful, because it is pretty hard to find like a shoe. Like, say if it's not like a Air Max, it's not a Nike basketball shoe, it's some, I don't know, some like generic shoe or something like that. Usually those are pretty hard to find because you know where all the Vapor Maxes are, the Air Maxes, the Nike basketball section, the retro section, you know where all that stuff is. But when it comes to a random shoe, it's kind of like, oh crap, gotta hurry up and try to get it because they need you back out on the floor. Because for Footlocker, you cannot have, you can't leave the floor without like anyone. Like there has to be someone on the floor at all times, so that way they're looking to make sure no one steals anything. That does happen quite often actually too. There's a lot of people stealing shirts and stuff like that. I mean, they can't really steal shoes, but mostly shirts and merchandise like socks and cleaner stuff like that. That would happen a little bit of the time. But yeah, so basically back onto the details of it. Some of the shoes were more hard to find than others, and it's so big in the back room. There were so many shoes. It's really cool. But yeah, and then which I also like that they did, because I also worked at Finish Line as well. What I like what Footlocker does is they do the online orders during the day. So like if they're not busy, then they do them during the day to get them done. And at Finish Line, we would wait until nighttime to do them, which sucked because we'd have to stay after. And usually every time I worked, there's about an hour to an hour and a half after I would have to stay to get the online orders done. And for Footlocker, it wasn't that bad at all. But then again, I'll get into some of the cons and or the cons about working at Footlocker rather than Finish Line is Footlocker, I feel like when I worked there, they hired way too many people because people that were only part-time like me were not getting scheduled or hours, because a lot of the full-time workers, they would get their hours, and then the assistant manager and managers would always get their 40 hours a week, and usually there's only 2 or 3 people that work during the weekdays, so that pretty much only leaves the weekends for when I would work, and then maybe sometimes on the weekdays. But yeah, so then I'd say after about 2 months or so of working there, I liked it a lot, and then just all of a sudden, I think it was because the payroll was pretty low during January and February, I did not get put on the schedule for like a month. So I obviously talked and communicated with the manager and was just wondering what's up. And yeah, I mean, I just didn't get scheduled basically, and hours were very low, so I did go ahead and decide to put my 2 weeks in there just because it was taking up days from my other job, which I did make, I believe, $10 an hour, and I still work there now. So yeah, I was making around $10 an hour there, and that was guaranteed. At Footlocker, it wasn't guaranteed. It was minimum wage plus the commission, and the commission was never guaranteed. And plus, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I never really got the commission, honestly, because it was like 2%, 2 or 3% of if you sell a shoe. So if you sell a $100 pair of shoes, that's $2 or $3 added on, so that's about $9 an hour. I just felt like I was never getting that. It was always minimum wage or $8 basically. But yeah, anyway, that's a different story for another time about that. But overall, I did like working there. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions or anything, please let me know. Message me on Instagram. But that was my experience about how I worked there. I liked it. I liked working there when I did, but then the hours became very slim, and basically there was like no hours left for any of the part-time workers. So I went ahead and put my 2 weeks in, but it was very nice using the discount and stuff like that there, which was super, super nice. It was 30% discount, which I did like a lot. And then on certain, only about 2 or 3 times a year, they had 50% off, which was amazing. There's no exclusions or anything, but that was only for 1 day is when the 50% was, and that was super, super cool. But anyway, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to message me or leave a comment down below. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.